And that is why the free market is the best system there can be. It has lifted millions of people out of poverty and created unimaginable wealth for everyone. And in the future we will all get to enjoy these new things, which for now only get enjoyed by the rich. Because the market will grow even further, which will make everything cheaper. Yes, every now and then there is a crisis, but that's just the natural cleaning process. The bad businesses get destroyed and the good ones continue. No reason to panic. Any questions? Yes, I have one. You stated that the market will keep growing in order to allow people to enjoy the advances. I was wondering, what happens if the market stops growing? How do the common people enjoy new technology then? Thank you. The market does not stop growing. Economic growth is an exponential function, which means that it grows faster and faster every year. There are many examples of this in nature, like bacteria. They grow exponentially. The market is just as natural, and because of that, it follows the natural laws of expansion. But actually, bacteria don't grow exponentially forever. If they did that, the whole universe would be covered in bacteria. It actually follows a logistic growth, which means that at first it grows exponentially, but eventually it slows down as it reaches the carrying capacity. That means at some point bacteria stop growing because they've infected the whole host or filled the entire petri dish. Exponential growth doesn't actually exist in nature at all because all growth is limited by something. Well, of course, my example was just a simile to make the growth more understandable. The free market is not bound by the laws of nature because it's man-made. There is no upper limit to the amount of money that can be produced, which means that there is no limit to the amount of growth that can happen. But what about resources? There is only a limited amount of, let's say, germanium. It's used to make transistors for electronics and it's on the list of endangered elements, which means it could run out in the near future. The same is true for lithium. There isn't even enough of it around for everyone in the world to get an electric car. Don't the limited resources of the planet mean that the market eventually has to stop growing? Yes, it would seem this way, but the beauty of the free market is that it solves such problems on its own. If Earth runs out of, let's say, lithium, we can just mine asteroids for it. There are single asteroids in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter that contain more lithium than all of Earth. If we run out of resources here, we must simply expand beyond our planet. But isn't space travel the most expensive industry there is? Doesn't it cost like $7,000 to put 1 kilogram into space? And that's just the low Earth orbit, not talking about the asteroid belt. How would you get a whole mining operation up there without creating more cost and value? Oh, actually the free market is solving this as we speak. SpaceX is making it possible to launch probes for as little as $1,700 per kilogram. But that's still way too high to be profitable, considering that any spacecraft would have to be 90% fuel to get to the asteroid belt and be able to return to the Earth with the resources it mined. Yes, but SpaceX is making it more and more affordable every year. Soon we will be flying to space for less than we're flying to the Bahamas. And that will make an interplanetary expansion of the free market possible and profitable. But don't these rockets all use methane engines? Don't they completely destroy the environment and use fossil fuels? Ignoring the environment, what happens if we run out of methane? Won't rocket launches become way more expensive again? Yes, you would assume that, but there are actually biofuels being developed which would make the fuel cheaper than ever. But doesn't biofuel take way more labor and time to be able to be used? Won't it always be more expensive to grow plants and turn them into fuel than it is to put them in an oil well? Isn't it inevitable that the prices will rise to such a degree that continued growth is no longer feasible? And that's on top of the moral predicament that is burning thousands of tons of biofuel while there are millions of people starving each year. I mean, maybe, but only for a short time. Automatization will drastically reduce the cost of production. Biofuel will be so cheap that everyone will be able to afford it much more easily than they're affording fossil fuels right now. But technology is nowhere near advanced enough to automatically take care of something as complex as farming. Machines can barely do assembly line work right now. Oh, you must have forgotten about Moore's law. Every year processor speed gets 2 times as fast or the processor's price is reduced by half. Technology is actually growing at an exponential rate as well. Just look around, 10 years ago none of this technology would have existed, but nowadays it does. The future will hold great things for us in the same way. I am afraid Moore's law is not true. Have a look at this. According to Moore's law, within 10 years processor speed would increase 100-fold. The most powerful Intel processor in 2010 was the i7-980X, and the most powerful processor today is the Intel i9-10900X. But the i9 is not even 5 times as powerful as the i7. They cost about the same at release. Moore's law may have been accurate in the past, in the 80s and 90s, But just like the economy, the tech sector is not an exponential growth but a logistic one. And we're approaching the limit of what's technologically possible. Process can only get so small and so cheap. Oh, well, maybe, but quantum computers will solve this. Quantum computers are not what they're hyped up to be. They aren't just more powerful computers, they're specialized machines built for specialized purposes. And yes, in those cases they're a lot better, but you can't have a quantum processor in your phone because your phone wouldn't have use for it. Well, technology will solve it. The market will find a way to grow even if Moore's law turns out to be false. No, it won't. There is no way for any system to keep growing forever. It's logically and logistically impossible, and there will be a cap at some point. No, there won't be. The market will grow forever. No, it won't. At some point it will run out of resources to exploit, out of oil to drill, out of fish to catch, and out of minerals to mine, and out of labor to exploit. The resources are not infinite, and that means that the growth has to stop. No, it has to keep growing. It cannot stop. What do you mean it cannot stop? It has to stop according to every natural law. No! If the market stops growing, this entire fucking system will collapse. What are you even talking about? The banks. What about the banks? The banks make money by loaning money, and the only reason their customers can pay them back more than they received is because their businesses are growing. And for everyone to be able to pay back their loans, everyone's business has to grow, which means that the entire economy has to grow. Go on. And if the economy stops growing, the banks can no longer make a profit, so they will stop loaning out money, and without loans nobody can start a new business, which means competition and innovation would grind to a halt, and all big corporations would just swallow the small ones, and we'd end up in a new form of feudalism without class mobility, and it just can't stop growing. But it will eventually. Nothing can grow forever. No! Yes! No! If it stops, then the investors would no longer have a reason to invest, and they would take all of their money out of the economy, which would ruin countless businesses and create millions of unemployed people. Do you know what hungry unemployed people do to rich people? 2 words: French Revolution. If that's true, why do you stick with this system? Why not come up with a better one? It will stop growing eventually. No, it will never stop growing. It just can't. And if it does, it will have grown for long enough for me to have become rich of it and to afford a private security organization to protect me from the hungry people. But that won't happen anyway because the market will grow forever. Why can't you just admit that it can't grow forever? Because that would scare the investors. If we admitted that it will stop growing eventually, they would no longer invest, and that would lead to an economic crisis followed by the realization that the banks cannot make a profit anymore. If we admit that it will collapse earlier. So I am here stuck having to gaslight myself and everyone around me and tell everyone that this system will grow forever, because if I don't do it, it will stop growing and collapse. And I will do this until the very day I die. And I will pray to all gods known to man to make sure that the illusion of infinite growth does not die before me, because I do not want to live in a world without capitalism, and I will cheat, steal, and lie. All I need to make sure that the people believe that this system will help them eventually, even if it's utterly impossible. Yes, it will stop growing, but we cannot admit that, or else it will fall apart. So I guess that's why you guys pretend that it will never stop growing. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. These videos take a lot of hours to make, so it's vital that you show your support by liking and subscribing and such. And I want to give a special thanks to my patrons, which you can see on screen, and extra super special thanks to Aaron J. Patton for your generous donation.